Welcome back, everybody, to the Washington Football Maniacs YouTube channel. Hey, a really quick housekeeping here. If you are subscribed, please make sure that you still are subscribed. Uh, Let me put it to you this way. If you think you're subscribed, please check just to make sure you still are, because it seems like a lot of people are not getting notifications that I'm releasing videos. I've noticed this. I had one of my really supportive subscribers reach out to me through Twitter and say, "Hey, why haven't you released any videos?" And I was like, "Dude, released one yesterday." So apparently, YouTube is not getting notifications out to my subscribers. So please do me that one small favor. Make sure you go to my channel. Make sure you at least look to see that you're still subscribed. And if so, go ahead and hit that notification bell just to make sure you get notified when I release new videos. I really greatly appreciate that. And if you're new, thank you for joining us. I try to put out videos on a regular basis. This channel is based on the Washington Commanders. We talk about the Washington Commanders. We talk about the front office stuff. We talk about drafts. We talk about the team in general. Anything that has to do with the Washington Commanders. We talk about it here. So you'll want to join the family and subscribe. That said, let's get into today's video. So my last video, we went over the last draft here, the 2023 draft. We just had and completed back on the weekend. And I feel like that now it is time for us to take a step back and to, I think, rightfully send out our grades for past drafts. You know, you have to give draft classes time in the NFL to really give a good grade on these drafts. And I think now is the time that we do this. And so I'm actually going to start way back to 2018. The reason why I'm doing that is that by now, those players will have went through their fifth year in the NFL. They would have either had their fifth year option picked up and they have, signed with other teams, or they have signed extensions or whatever. But, I'm grading this as how it pertains to our team, right? So this grade is going to be based on the success of these players, how it pertains to our team, not how it pertains necessarily to the success of the players themselves. Does that make sense? Nod or nod. Okay. Anyway, let's get into it. This was the 2018 draft. Now, keep in mind, of course, has nothing to do with Ron Rivera. At the time, Jay Gruden was the head coach. I think we still have Bruce Allen as the vice president of football operations, and of course, Dan Snyder is owner. So we obviously know who was involved in draft picks back then. That being said, here we go. This was the 2018 draft, folks. So the first round pick, the 13th pick overall in the 2018 NFL draft, was Daron Payne, offensive tackle out of Alabama. And I would say right now for Daron Payne in his fifth year, of course, we did not pick up his fifth year option. And so he played in a make it or break it year. We were either going to trade him, get rid of him, whatever the case was going to be. Wind up tagging him. He had a great season this year. I mean, a great season this year. And so we wound up tagging him, and then first time in, I think, history that we actually tagged a player, and then we wound up extending his contract. So he got paid. So you look at Daron Payne, that has obviously been a successful draft pick for us. Daron Payne, John Allen, Montez Sweat, his fifth year's coming up. So Chase Young, I mean, that defensive line has been stout, and Deron Payne certainly he did his part this past year. So I would say out of this draft, this 2018 draft, Deron Payne was a shining bright moment for the Washington Redskins at that point. However, you go into round two and Darius Geis. Now, this was probably the most disheartening draft pick because Geis had such a promising career in the NFL. He had injuries. He had, certainly off the field situations, but when he was when he was on the field, he played well. Like you saw flashes of what Geis could do for you, and we were all really excited about Darius Geis. He interacted with you on Twitter, which we thought was really cool. Just overall, we felt that if nobody else worked out in this, draft outside of the first and second rounds, that if you could have Payne and Geis working out, this would be a successful draft. Unfortunately, things went south with Darius Geis. He went to prison and has not been able to get back into the NFL, and so that wound up being a wasted draft pick. Round three, Dron Christian, another one that was a failed missed opportunity, never could really get into any playing time. Failed missed opportunity. Fourth round, of course, Troy Apke. Our favorite Troy Apke, man, I tell you. He had 9 lives. I mean, we still wind up re-signing him this year, or this past year. Troy Apke he really turned out to be a decent special teams guy. And I think that's the reason why that he had been able to kind of have a little bit of longevity with Washington Commanders is the fact that of his special teams talent, but as a safety overall, just really couldn't perform at the level that we had hoped. Being in the fourth round, you're going to start to look at guys being more of depth players, and Apke was going to be probably better at being depth and special teams. So, that's kind of a question mark grade with Troy Apke. I would definitely say that he's not a total loss, but he was definitely a disappointment as far as ever really being able to develop into a solid safety. Fifth round, Tim Settle. Tim Settle played well for us. He was one of those that really developed well for us, and I hated losing Tim Settle. Tim Settle went on to bigger and better things for his career, but he had some quality minutes with Washington, and yeah, I mean, is he overall, is he on the same talent level as what we have on the DL? Probably not, but I mean, Tim Settle, he gave us some quality minutes, and I really liked Tim Settle. I don't think that was too much of a miss, considering the fact that he was, mid-round, a fifth round pickup. Tim Settle gave us some quality play there. So I really enjoyed Tim Settle quite a bit, and he was able to get signed on somewhere else. Round 6, we had Sean Dion Hamilton, and again, he was a depth player at linebacker. Just never was going to be, I think, a starter per se. I think he was going to be a rotation guy. It's not a whole lot to say. I mean, when you start to get into those lower rounds like that, you're really not going to expect to have starters at this point. You're going to have rotation guys. You do hope that you have guys who, if they're going to be rotation guys, that they're going to be solid guys. He would come in and play decent, but overall, not really expecting a whole lot. We're still struggling, I think, at linebacker. Outside of Jamie Davis, and we'll talk about this when we go over the 2019 draft, but Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb that we have just lost, we've really struggled to keep that crew consistent. Cornerback Greg Stroman never was going to be a cornerback that was going to be a shutdown guy. Struggled. Never could really find his footing in Washington. And then finally, Trey Quinn, again, a guy that we tried to find a place, tried to put him in punt returns. Would put him in the slot, and just was not ever going to be a threat at wide receiver. Very, very thin guy, in my opinion, just meaning as far as talent-wise and all that stuff. I think that the only way that he was really going to be consistent with the team was if he could have made it as a punt returner, kickoff returner. Other than that, they're really, as you would see in latter drafts, we really started to bulk up and with the talent at wide receiver. So there was not going to be a place for Trey Quinn in the future for Washington. So you look at overall of this 2018 draft, outside Deron Payne, none of these guys are in Washington now. Troy Apke, he had been in and out, somehow kept surviving. Probably not going to be there this year. So, Deron Payne himself, certainly that's an A signing, A drafting. So that one was great. The rest of them, I mean, it's hard to give Fs for, lower round picks because, these guys are, you get to those lower round picks, you're not necessarily picking starters. You're picking depth guys, you're picking guys that are going to be special teamers. But some of these guys are not even in the NFL now. And so I think overall this was probably a D draft. I think Deron Payne keeps it from being an F, a complete F. But it is funny to see. Now, of course, this was this was back in. I guess was Serrato? Was he still with the team in 2018? I don't know. I didn't think so. I don't know why that's there. Anyway, I see why. They equate Serrato to F. I get that. So their poll back in 2018, and this was Hog's Heaven. 1%, 25 votes gave this draft an F. 36 votes gave it a D. 6% of the vote, which was 188 votes, gave it a C. And, talking about being fair, optimistic fans, you had 47% of the vote gave it a B draft, and 44 gave it an A. So we were very high on this draft back in 2018. But you go back and look at it now, D is probably more of a realistic vote on this draft than anything else. Definitely doesn't deserve an A or a B, right? I mean, outside of Deron Payne, there's nobody in that draft left on the team. Nobody. So there you have it. That is the 2018 draft for the Washington Commanders, back then Washington Redskins. So it was a D. Provided, yes, you had Bruce Allen, the vice president of football operations, running the show. You had Jake Gruden, who I'm not sure how much input he really had. Dan Snyder, we all know good and well back in those days how much input he had in drafting. So with all that said, that is how that draft has been able to stand the test of time. D. Let me know in the comments section below what you would have given the 2018 draft. What grade nowadays, now that you've had a few years to sit back and to take a look at these players, overall, do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Do you give it an F? Do you give it a C? Are you a little bit more forgiving? Do you have other requirements or criteria that would base your grade other than me? I'm like, you know what? These are the players that we drafted, so I'm basing it on who's left in Washington, who is contributing to the team to this day, and are they starters? Are they giving us quality minutes? Are they still with the team and all that stuff? That is what I'm basing it on. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. It got a little long, but I think it's pretty neat to go back and look at these drafts now that we have had this fresh new draft in the books. It's good to go back, revisit these other ones so that we really have a better idea to see if our drafting over the last few years has improved. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. And please, again, if you're subscribed, please make sure you hit those notification bells so you'll know when I come out with another video. And that said, I will see you in the next one.
Hey, you stayed until the very end. Thank you so much. Watch another one right now.